Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is Sunday. I hope the day is going well wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. I'm sure it is because it's a very nice Sunday. The sun is shining over here in the UK. Arsenal are top of the Premier League. Arsenal scored 5 goals yesterday. Victor Gyokeres scored twice. Eberechi Eze was announced and unveiled at the Emirates. It was just a very, very good day, barring, of course, injuries, which we will have to talk about, unfortunately, because they did temper the party atmosphere of the day a little bit. So we're going to talk about that. There's so much to pack into today's show. Apologies, my voice is a little bit croaky. Certainly feeling the effects of the day at the Emirates yesterday, which was a load of fun. And so many of you came up and said hello. So yeah, it was great to meet loads of you yesterday. And what a great day it was. You know, as I said, 5 goals, Gyokeres scoring, Eze there, top of the league. It was just a really, really fun day at the Emirates. So we're going to go into it, look at what Mikel had to say afterwards. We're going to talk about Max Dowman, what a cameo from him. We'll talk about Victor Gyokeres. We'll talk about Eze. I'll give my player ratings. We'll share what some of you guys have been saying after the win. So a lot to get stuck into. Before we really sort of talk about the game, I'm just going to talk about Eze first of all, before we get stuck into the events of the actual match itself. I mean, this was such a brilliant moment. I've got to say, like, I was in a pub. I was up around the ground early because I was watching the Spurs City game with some mates up there. And I was on the phone. I was messaging people saying, "Is this going to happen? Are they going to unveil it?" And it was really, really touch and go from the conversation I was having. It, they weren't sure. They were really, really working hard to do it. Everyone at Arsenal wanted to do it. I think Mikel was very keen on doing it. I think he knew full well what that was going to do for the atmosphere in the game if you could get Eze out beforehand. But it was very, very touch and go. And I think it's about 4 o'clock. I think I got the message through saying it is going to happen. At sort of 5 o'clock and get him out on the pitch after that. And yeah, it was just, I mean, Mikel spoke about it in a press conference as well, actually, after the game. He said he wasn't even sure. He said it all went a bit quiet and he wasn't sure if it was going to happen or not. But Arsenal were working very, very hard. I think they understood, as I said, the sort of significance of it and what it was going to do for the atmosphere if they could get him out. And it was such a brilliant moment. Honestly, that from where I was, obviously, it was a great moment. But when you watch it on the TV and you got the camera like right on Eze's face as he comes out, it almost felt like you're watching something from the WWE or something. Someone emerging from the tunnel, walking out. You know, the place going absolutely mad. The emotion on his face, it was just, it looked like he was going to cry at times. I think it was so overwhelming for him. This is such a massive moment for him and the sort of the career arc that he's had of being there from 8 till 13, getting released, having the heartbreak of being an Arsenal fan, of having his family as Arsenal fans and being released from the club he's so dreamt of playing for. And then coming back like 14 years later for £67 million and having a moment like this where he comes out and the whole crowd are chanting for him. And you could just see the emotion on his face. He was really, really struggling, I think, to keep it all together. It was just a really, really great thing, I thought, to see. And I can't wait to see him in action for Arsenal, which I think is going to be very, very soon, considering what's happened injury-wise. I think we're probably going to see him in action very, very soon, probably this next coming weekend against Liverpool. I do urge, if you haven't read it yet already, to go over and find Gunnar Blog's report he wrote for The Athletic on how the sort of transfer happened. It's an amazing detail in there. I retweeted it earlier on today, and how he was about to sign for Spurs on the Wednesday, but before he did that, he thought, I've got to go for one last chance to see if Arsenal could potentially sign me. And so he rang Mikel Arteta on Wednesday and was like, I'm going to sign for Spurs today. Is there anything you can do? Please don't make me do it. Please don't make me go to Spurs. He probably didn't say it like that, but I like to think in my head that's what he said. And Arteta was like, we've got a board meeting today. Just wait, let me call you back. And, by the end of that board meeting, Arsenal basically agreed that the deal was happening. He was going to sign for Arsenal. And Eze, we got the homecoming that we all wanted and that he wanted. And it's just a brilliant piece by Gunnar Blog. So please do go over and read it. And it was just really, really special, I think, yesterday, seeing Eze there, as someone who's been so desperate for him to sign the entire summer, to see it finally sort of happen and to see him in his Arsenal shirt with Eze 10 on the back was just absolutely brilliant. I actually went into the shop afterwards. I went down to the Armoury because I had my son's kit and he wanted Eze 10 on the back, and Arsenal said they were going to do free printing of 10 and Eze. So I thought, this probably isn't going to work out, but let me go and have a look and see how big the queue was. And honestly, it was mental in the Armoury. The queue, I mean, I'm sure, let me know if you were in it, because I'm sure if you were, people must have been waiting for hours to get that name and number on the back of the shirt after the game. I gave up and just went home. I'll do it at another time. But yeah, brilliant Brilliant. Welcome to the football club, Mauricio. I can't wait for the content that's going to come out over the next couple of days that Arsenal have done with him after that move. Okay, so onto the game itself. I mean, it was just perfect, really. Injuries aside, sort of purely stuff you see on the pitch, it was perfect. 5 goals, clean sheet, Gyokeres scoring twice, Dowman coming on, breaking the record, becoming the youngest Premier League player, and not just coming on, but coming on and making such a big impact as well. It was perfect for Arsenal. They played really, really well. They grew into the game. They started pretty slowly. I thought Timber's goal kind of came felt a little bit out of nothing when it did arrive. I think Saka's goal right on half-time was really, really important. I think that just killed Leeds' any sort of hope they had, and it just lifted the spirit levels of Arsenal. You can imagine the mood in both changing rooms at half-time. It's like Arsenal were like, yes, 2-goal lead. We've got that second goal, and Leeds were probably just really deflated that they conceded the way they had right on half-time. And then the fact that Gyokeres scored so soon after the second half, from that point onwards, it was always like, how many goals are Arsenal going to get here? It was brilliant to see Gyokeres score his goals. Obviously, the first goal was such a classic Gyokeres goal. When you see how he scored all his goals last season at Porto Sporting, he loves running into that left-hand channel. He had the one moment at Old Trafford last week, didn't he, when he had that opportunity down the left channel and he got it all wrong. He sort of stood on the ball. There was none of that this time. It was just got the ball, get it under control, drive into the penalty area, get it on his right foot, bang, goal. And you could really sense like the noise in the stadium when he scored. Everyone knew what a big moment that was. You could see on his face how happy he was. You could see the celebrations of the Arsenal players. They knew that was a big moment, potentially in the season, just to get that first competitive goal in the Premier League, just lift the pressure that would have been on his shoulders had he not scored those goals. It was a really, really big moment, and it was very well taken as well. Timber, obviously, with a couple of goals, which you don't get too often, and an assist. Anyone who's got Timber in their FPL team will be a very, very happy person today. And then the late penalty for Gyokeres, great penalty. I'm expecting him to score. I'm pretty sure Gyokeres is going to be Arsenal's penalty taker this season if he's on the pitch. I mean, Arteta said it in an interview the other day when he was asked who's Arsenal's best penalty taker, and he said Gyokeres. So I imagine he's going to take him. He took it with the confidence you would expect from a man who scored so many penalties last season. Dowman coming on and winning that penalty, obviously. So it was just a really, really fun afternoon. You don't get games like that too often when you're sort of following your team, when it's just so comfortable. You're never going to concede, never look like you're going to concede anyway, and you're scoring goals at the other end, big strikers scoring. Yeah, it was just it was a lot of fun. And when you look at the stats after the game, it was just a really dominant performance from Arsenal. And Leeds just had 3 shots, 1 on target, which I think was the header, wasn't it? Just before when it was at 0-0. Actually, it was a good save by Raya. I think Gabriel lost his man from a corner. The header came in. It was a really good save by Raya to keep it at 0-0. Other than that, Leeds just didn't threaten at all from open play. Arsenal outperforming their XG, which is good to see. 2.82 on the XG, scoring 5 goals, which was nice. And just a really controlled, dominant performance. They're going to come up against a lot better teams than Leeds this season. They're going to have a lot more difficult games, but you can only beat what's in front of you. And that was a good performance yesterday. Ruthless, solid at the back, exactly what you want. And, Mikel was obviously very, very happy, as you can imagine he would be. He said it's exactly how we wanted to start the first game. We won in a really convincing way. You could sense something, especially in the atmosphere before the match. I think we have to be very proud of the way we played, the way we dominated, not conceded any shots almost, and a clean sheet. On top of that, a lot of good moments. Victor scoring his first 2 goals for the club. I'm thrilled and delighted for Urian after that long time out injuring his ankle, and the hours he's put in all the physios and medical department to score 2 goals at the Emirates. It was very special. Mascara making his debut as well. And then one of the highlights, without any question of the doubt, Max coming on at 15 years old, making his debut and winning a penalty. So very proud. I mean, just listening to that just sounds absolutely bonkers. Coming on at 15. It's just so mad. It's just unprecedented. I mean, he's the youngest ever Premier League player. Now he's taken that record off Ethan Maneri. I wonder if we're going to see Jason Cundy on TalkSport, or listen to Jason Cundy on TalkSport having a go at Mikel Arteta for playing Max Dowman, saying it's just a sort of token type thing and that it's Mikel making it all about him. Think we'll hear that like he said it last time? I doubt it, because he was proven so massively wrong last time, and he'd be proven so massively wrong. And apologies anyway for mentioning Jason Cundy on this show. But yeah, the way he took to it yesterday, Dowman, when he came on, there's just a confidence about his touch. There was one pass, I think it might have been Timber. I can't remember who played it. Was it Timber? Was it Calafiori? It wasn't Timber. It might have been Calafiori. Just this long ping crossfield pass from the left to Dowman on the touchline. And the way he brought it down, it's just like, my God, it's he's so talented. He really, really is. It's tough to try and keep a lid on the excitement levels on him, because you just see the way he impacts games when he comes on at this age. Doesn't matter who against. Premier League teams. He did it in the Premier League for real this time, but it doesn't make, against Villarreal when he did it, against Newcastle on the Asia Tour when he did it, against Spurs when he just influences games. You want to get the ball to him because you feel like something's going to happen. He won a penalty again yesterday. He's already learned how to hang that foot out and buy a penalty. I'm not convinced on that, I have to say, but he won the penalty and he just scares fullbacks. They must look at him and just think, you're 15. Stop it. Why? What are you doing? I'm a Premier League player. You're 15 years old. Stop doing it. You're a boy. He must be so frustrating for defenders to play against. But they just can't stop what he wants to do. And that's what's so exciting about him. The fact we've already seen him make his Premier League debut in the second game of the season. I couldn't even put a number on how many times we're going to get to see him this season. If he stays injury free, I genuinely think he's going to be a massive part of this squad. Nothing that's happening at the moment suggests to me that he's going to go away and Arteta's going to take him out the firing line. I think Arteta's going to use him a lot. He's not going to be in the squad every single week, but I think we're going to see him a lot. And we should see him a lot when you look at his pure quality and what he does when he's on the pitch. It's just it was such an exciting play. Gyokeres scored his first 2 goals for the club yesterday, and yet you walk out of that ground and everyone was talking about Max Dowman. It was like the Max Dowman show again. And the noise, how that must have felt for him yesterday. I love the fact he wears really baggy shorts as well. I don't know why. It just feels really, really old school. I think it's very, very cool. So yeah, brilliant performance from Dowman. What a fantastic cameo and just a perfect sort of cherry on the top when it came to the actual performance itself that Arsenal produced yesterday. But, and it is a big but, and it is an important but, obviously there was more bad injury news already this season. It's beginning to feel like it's following a familiar theme. We've already lost Ben White. Norgard's not even played yet because of injury. Havertz's injury, and now suddenly we lose 2 of Arsenal's most important players in Saka and Odegaard in the same game yesterday within sort of about 20 minutes of each other. Obviously, Odegaard with, I don't know if it's a shoulder, a collarbone, what. Yeah, he's going to have a scan today to find out the extent of the damage. He fell awkwardly on it. Could see he was in a lot of pain. He tried to play on, he couldn't do it, had to go off. Saka, again, it's a hamstring, which didn't look good. Again, he's going to have a scan today, so we're not sure yet on the extent of it, but it didn't look great. It didn't look as bad as last time, thankfully, of course, and you would hope it's not something similar to what happened last time, but it doesn't look like something he's going to suddenly recover from and be involved against Liverpool, you would imagine. But again, we'll find out more once he's had the scan. What Mikel had to say about the 2 injuries says that's the negatives of the day. Martin felt something in his shoulder when he landed. We don't know what. We'll have a scan tomorrow and understand it a bit better. Bukayo, while he was carrying the ball, wrestling with the defender, he felt something in his hamstring. Let's see. I think it's the other one. It's not the same one as the previous injury. We've been 2 weeks into the season and we've already lost Martin Bukayo. So it tells you how well equipped you have to be in this league to manage and maintain the level that we want. When he was asked if Saka's injury is serious, he says, I don't know. He felt something while he was sprinting. That's never a good sign. We'll have to wait until tomorrow, speak to the doctors and understand better what he's done. But he's had his injuries before. He knows exactly the feeling of that. So let's wait. And the look on Saka's face, you can always tell, I think, about an injury by the look on Saka's face. And as Mikel says, Saka knows what a proper hamstring injury feels like. And you just got the impression from looking at him that he knew he wasn't, he was going to be out for a little bit. We do have the international break coming up, of course. There's only 1 game now before the international break, which will help a little bit, but we'll have to wait and see. But it's just really, really disappointing. On the back, what's happened with Havertz, it's just more injuries, isn't it? More injuries. It's like, can we catch a break? Please, can we catch a break? It felt like we'd used up all our bad luck with injuries last season. Okay, player ratings-wise, some decent ratings, as you can imagine, for such a comfortable, dominant performance. Raya, I gave a 7. Only had to make 1 save in the game. Did it very, very well. Good save. He was alert. His passing was good when he was involved, so gave him a 7. Timber, my man of the match. I think he has to be man of the match. 2 goals and an assist and a clean sheet. As I said, any FPL owners have got him in a team are going to be very, very happy this morning. So I gave Timber a 9. Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori, I gave a 7. I could have given Calafiori an 8. I really liked Calafiori again. I don't even know what position you can call Calafiori plays in. But he's just a really, really fun player to watch. And I think if he can stay fit this season, he's going to be such an interesting player for Arsenal this season. I think he's going to cause teams an awful lot of problems. So I gave him a 7. Zubimendi, I gave an 8. I thought he grew into the game and became really, really important in the game. I thought he started a bit slowly, but then he really, really grew into the game. I thought Zubimendi, I gave him an 8. Odegaard a 6, obviously went off injured in the first half. Rice, I gave an 8. It was good to see Rice back to what I thought was near his best after that really sort of weird, poor performance against Manchester United. I thought he was much, much better yesterday. He was really heavily involved, got a couple of assists, obviously, with the corners. Really brilliant delivery, as always, from him. Saka, I gave a 7. Great goal, lovely finish. And yeah, he was a bit quiet, I suppose, in the first half before that goal, but it was a really, really good goal, so I bumped him up to a 7. Madueke, decent enough, I thought, on his first start for Arsenal. Played on the left, which was, I wanted to see that yesterday. I thought he did okay over there. Didn't really, it wasn't a thrilling performance from him. I thought he looked quite lively when he moved out onto the right in the second half. So I gave him a 7. Gyokeres, I gave an 8. Just really, really important for him to get those 2 goals, especially he had that miss late on in the first half where he sort of snatched it. It was one of those ones where you just try and deflect it into the goal when it fell to him, but he put it wide, and you thought at that point, it's like, oh no, he really could do with a goal here just to get up and running. And he did it so soon in the start of the second half. It was a big, big moment. Got his second with a penalty late on as well. So I gave him an 8. There were some good performances from the bench. I thought Ethan was really interesting when he came on for Martin Odegaard. I thought he played higher up the pitch than Odegaard did. Next weekend is going to be really interesting against Liverpool. Like whether Mikel trusts Ethan to start in that Odegaard position. If Odegaard has to miss out, do you start Ethan at Anfield? Do you trust him with all the stuff that, not just the playmaking stuff, but everything else that you have to do in that sort of Odegaard position in terms of the press and everything else? I think that's going to be a really big call for Mikel, but I thought he played well yesterday, Ethan. So I'll give him a 7. Mosquera and Trossard came on in the second half. Mosquera looks really strong. I like the look of Mosquera. I have to say, Max obviously was a star of the show in the second half when he came on. Just caused him so many problems. Won a penalty. I gave him an 8. The rest of them I give 6s, but I thought Ethan played well. I gave Ethan a 7. So those are my player ratings for yesterday. Right, moving on to some of what you guys were having to say before we wrap this one up for today. Thank you for responding to my request for some comments after the game on the regular YouTube channel. Nick says, "Hi Charles, cracking game but scary because of injuries. Unlike last year, our injuries can't be pegged to overusing particular players. Arteta does seem to be rotating the squad far better this year. Small sample size, yes. But do you think the injuries might affect the outgoings? Will Arteta Berta hold off selling any players like Reece, Cini, Kivior, or Vieira in case further cover is required?" I don't know. I still think the squad's big enough that, some of these players have to go. Arsenal have to bring in some money. I'm absolutely, they have to. They've spent so much money. They've brought in none. The squad's really, really big, even with injuries. So I don't think it'll affect certainly Vieira or Cini or even Reece. I don't think it would affect any of those. Maybe Kivior. I don't know. But I mean, the injuries at the moment aren't to the defenders apart from Ben White. So no, I don't think it will. I still think Arsenal, there's just an absolute pressing need to sell some players and bring some money in and lower the numbers in the squad. Guna says, if Odegaard can't play next week, who starts, Ethan or Eze? Well, to be honest, I think both might end up starting now because of the injury to Saka as well. I think Eze will definitely start if Saka's out. I think he'll play on the left and Madueke will play on the right. And then Ethan, as I said, it'll be a big call to make in terms of whether you start Ethan or not at Anfield, or you go down the more experienced route, potentially bringing a Marino or someone like that for the midfield. We'll have to wait and see on that, but it could well be that both start that game. Beverly says, "Good morning, Charles, and what a good morning it is. A whopping 5-0 win, second game of the season, 2 clean sheets and top of the table. The only downside is the injuries we picked up. Fingers crossed they aren't as bad as we fear, and that Ben, Kai, Saka and Martin will be back in the team after the international break, or even better, back for Liverpool game next weekend." Thank you very much for that, Beverly. Rakesh says, barring the injuries, some really good opportunities. Victor can flick his hair a million times. All that matters is him pouncing on those chances that he gets. He looked nervous in the beginning, but he has arrived. For me, like what Wrighty said, if he scores against all the clubs outside the top 6, we will take it. That still means 20 and above goals for the season. Along with Eze, I am all in for Victor. Noni looked good on the right after Saka's injury. Depth is there. Now let's go and fight it out at Anfield. Cosmo Kramer says, the goal Saka scored changed everything. Despite the 1-0 lead, thanks to Timber, the mood in the stadium was pretty flat. The Saka goal changed everything, came out in the second half in new belief and finished the game off. McCormick's AFC says, I thought Ranieri looked bright today, arguably more dangerous than when Odegaard was on the pitch. Hopefully he gets more opportunities in the 8 position. And AFC Cape Town says the 22-23 press is back. Please give a special shout out to Ricky. There were lots of doubters from within after his injury hit season, 2 games and 3 goal involvements. Yeah, of course, it was Ricky who set up the goal for Victor Gyokeres. And as I said, I just love watching him. I really, really do. I think he's just a really intriguing, mad footballer, Ricardo Calafiori. But I'm delighted that he is at Arsenal. So thank you to everyone who got in touch. Thank you as always for being part of the show. Really, really do appreciate it. That is it for me today on a Sunday. I hope you enjoyed it, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your weekend as well. I'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Anything you want me to discuss in tomorrow's show, you know what to do. Get down into the comments, leave your questions, and I'll pull some of them together and get them included. Until then, speak to you soon, everyone. Bye-bye.